Okay, so I know Godzilla vs. Mega Kaiju vids have been done a few times before, and yeah, I know what you're thinking. Godzilla breezes this fight against the Mega Kaiju, and probably. But there might be a little bit more to it than what you might think. And while we're at it, let's see if there are any other Pacific Rim Kaiju that could hold a candle to the Big G. Let's get the big guns out right from the off, shall we? Let's pit Pacific Rim's most powerful creature versus the Monsterverse's Alpha Titan. As you know, I've been doing a few of these lately, firstly looking at who would come out on top in a battle of the hybrids between Apex and Obsidian. Then I ran a couple of scenarios trying to figure out how Apex versus Breacher would have panned out. Had the makers of the Black actually given us the climactic battle that we actually wanted to see? And then I looked at a battle of the heavyweights, the two most powerful monsters in Pacific Rim, in Mega Kaiju versus the Breacher. Now, if you like these kind of matchups, please do let me know by liking and subscribing, as that way I know to make more of them, and let me know which matchups you've always wanted to see. Please just note that for this comparison, I'm going to go with Godzilla 2021. Fuck this bridge! And let's start by comparing their physical attributes. So as I've discussed before, the Mega Kaiju is an amalgamation of two Cat 4s in Strikethorn and Hakuja, and one Cat 5 in Raijin. It's 419 foot tall, but I'm guessing that's when it's standing upright on its four legs to use its arms, which would make it taller. This is compared to Godzilla's 393 feet tall, so the two are actually pretty evenly matched with a difference of only about 20 meters, which, let's face it, in kaiju terms is sweet Fanny Adams. The Mega Kaiju is just over 328 feet in length compared to Godzilla's 582 feet, but honestly, I don't know if that's including tails or not. I don't know if that's Mega Kaiju standing on 6 legs or standing upright like a fucking centaur. Now we get to the big point of contention, and that's in regards to mass or weight, which is probably the most important metric to me because it indicates not only how much muscle these guys is probably packing, but also how fast moving and agile each of them is. Obviously, the heavier they are, the less nimble they're going to be. Godzilla is around the 100,000 ton mark, whereas the Mega Kaiju is written up as being under 10,000 tons. Which is super weird for two creatures that are so similar in every other physical aspect. I'm inclined to think that that's just one of Pacific Rim's many inconsistencies when it comes to this kind of thing. Of course, if you do go by these official numbers, there's nothing more to say. Godzilla wins this comfortably, one arm tied behind his back. One swing from his tail, a nice crisp bitch slap upside his food hole, and Mega Kaiju is going to spin right around and probably never coming out of that coma. However, I found a thread where a guy called Nuclear Shroom was talking about how you could take a 3D model of any given creature and calculate its mass based on its physical proportions. And long story short, he put Slattern at 135,000 tons, as opposed to the official figure of 6,750 tons, which is way more feasible to me. And interestingly, given that Mega Kaiju's official weight is somewhat comparable to Slattern's, on this scale would actually make it close to Ghidorah's weight in King of the Monsters, which is 140,000 tons. Now that's a thought that blew my mind. I knew that he was never going to be 6,750 tons as his official statistic, but I never thought he would be that heavy either. Like, comparable to Ghidorah. And I know there's a lot to do with camera angles, what have you, but Ghidorah in King of the Monsters just feels so much bigger. To me, personally, to say that Mega Kaiju could be heavier than Godzilla himself is a bit much. Based on my personal feeling alone, I would say that Mega Kaiju is probably about a third lighter than Godzilla. But going forward with this comparison, I'm going to say that they're about comparable. Even if he was as heavy as Ghidorah, that doesn't mean he wins, because of course they both have a number of special abilities, and really I can still see only one winner. If it came down to a grappling match, sure, Mega Kaiju has a really good chance, as we saw with Muto Prime, who's also kind of an equivalent weight-wise. Godzilla got ragdolled at one point. Plus, with Mega Kaiju's ability to channel kinetic energy and unleash it back at its opponent, it's not in the Big G's interest to get into a close quarters struggle. Now, just a quick side note on Mega Kaiju's energy harnessing ability. One subscriber, sorry, I forget your name, said that Mega Kaiju could only do this with blows taken to the chest. Now, I know what he means. It's because that's where Raijin's faceplates end up after it's transformed into Mega Kaiju. Thanks for the comment, buddy. It's definitely given me food for thought, but that would be a bit of a bummer for the Mega Kaiju, as it would mean that he would have to pivot to make sure that he took any impact on his chest. So I prefer to think that as he's fusing together, there would be some kind of transfer at the cellular level that would mean that all of his armor took on this ability. So if the fight did get up close and personal, Mega Kaiju could use those massive claws inherited from Raijin, as well as those tusks that came from Hakuja, aiming to get a blow into the eyes or throat or more challengingly, digging those claws into Godzilla's hide to try and hit a vital organ. I don't know about you, but Mega Kaiju does seem that little bit more agile than Godzilla. But all the same, this fight would be like two wrestlers grappling at each other. But really, I don't think this fight even gets to this stage. In GBK, we saw that Godzilla 2021 could unleash atomic breath left, right, and center with very little recharge time, and even blast a hole through the crust of the Earth all the way through to Hollow Earth. So even before Mega Kaiju can get close, he's gonna come under a barrage of blasts of white-hot fire. The question is, how does his armor, that remember we said could absorb kinetic energy, deal with atomic energy? Because it's not the same thing. If it can't absorb Godzilla's atomic breath, then I think it's game over for Mega Kaiju. In that case, Mega Kaiju's only ranged attack is the spikes that he can fire off from his tail that he inherited from Shrike-Thorn. But really, when you see that Godzilla here got Kong's axe embedded in its leg and then just pulled it out and went about his business, how much damage are these little pin things actually gonna do? Godzilla weakens him until he's pretty much silly putty hanging from a skeletal frame before going in for the kill any which way he pleases. If the Mega Kaiju can absorb and store the energy, then he can respond with a proper ranged attack, which looks something like this. It's definitely able to knock Gypsy and Co off their feet, but given that Gypsy Avenger is listed as 2,000 tons, Guardian Bravo as 1,975 tons, and the heaviest, Titan Redeemer, is reportedly 3,800 tons, you can be sure that this is not having the same effect on the 100,000 ton Godzilla. Might hurt his ankles a little though. Another hypothetical Mega Kaiju ability is the fact that he might be able to burrow like Hakuja did. But is that going to really make that much difference? Because it didn't with Muto Prime. But let me know what you think. If we threw out these frankly ridiculous weight statistics from Pacific Rim and gave them figures that were more feasible, would Mega Kaiju stand more of a chance? I'm saying, in the end, no, not really. Godzilla wins. But what about some of the other heavyweights from Pacific Rim? Breacher is the newly unveiled Category 6 and a physical heavyweight. But there's no real reason to think that if Godzilla beats Mega Kaiju, that Breacher would do any better, especially as Breacher has no kinetic energy harnessing ability, in fact, no other special abilities to speak of at all, that we know of. This would be a fearsome physical confrontation, but again, I think Godzilla's atomic breath, plus his tail whip, which is going to send Breacher sprawling. I mean, if Atlas can do this... So, Godzilla win. Raijin, I don't see holding a candle to the Big G. And of course, the Cat Fours don't have a prayer. But what about Slattern? This guy stands head and shoulders above Godzilla. He's nearly 200 foot taller at just under 600 foot. But it's really this that makes me wonder. And this does remind me of Muto Prime's Sonic Roar, an ability that the beast evolved over thousands of years specifically to shatter the dorsal plates on Gojira's back. It's probably not the same thing, but it would be cool though, wouldn't it? To me, Slattern would probably put up a very hard fight against Godzilla, but again, I don't see him coming out of it alive. I think the creature that stands the best chance against Godzilla is probably Apex, simply because his main strength in this situation is exactly Godzilla's main weakness, and that's agility. Godzilla can definitely move when he wants to, as we saw when he tail slapped the male Muto into the side of that building. But when you look at Apex jumping around like a giant ninja, he's definitely going to be able to dodge the atomic breath and get some blows in. If Godzilla ever managed to get hold of Apex though, or if Godzilla did manage to hit him with a blast of atomic breath, Apex be in trouble, boy. Now, if you remember, the reason that I said that Apex would struggle against Breacher was that Breacher's hide looked impenetrable to me. Even the soft bits look tough. And as I recall, he never actually had his skin pierced in that last fateful episode of The Black. But we have seen Godzilla's skin, as tough as it undoubtedly is, scratched open and bitten through. But even so, GZ's resilience is ridiculous. So I still don't see Apex taking this, but I think he might be in with the best shot. Anyway guys, as usual, I'm very eager to hear your thoughts. You know where the comments are. I've had some really good suggestions for upcoming matchups, but if there's any that you're dying to see, Pacific Rim, Monsterverse, whatever the franchise, get in the comments and let me know. Make sure you check out my top 5 Pacific Rim kills, and stay tuned for top 5 Monsterverse kills. Oh, and also my detailed breakdown and analysis of Season 2 of The Black. So until then, feel free to get out of my head, and I will see you very soon for the next one. Thank you very much for watching, and cheerio, bye!